Hey.
Security. How's it? I mean, how you been doing?
Well,
or
dude,
just
how about them
over?
Royals? Fuck!
Damn it!
We got our fucking butts beaten.
Licking wounds.
Dude, it was 29-10. That didn't tell but half of the battle. The massacre. Dang. I am Matty Day.
I am Tommy Burns. We are live from Stadium Drive, and
We lost. We lost for the first time this fucking year, man.
just soaking it in like a sponge,
Oh.
and just really trying to take from it is just hearing a lot, from big to small, this and that,
Is it chicken or the egg type thing, man?
the fire or the smoke, is it what is going on?
There's a million Rorschach-ing reasons out there. Everybody's got one. The pundits, the fans, the players, the coaches, everybody. But for every good reason, it's almost like there's a rebuttal. Would you blame the injuries?
I look at 2010. Though, after talking to Scott, would you say it's possibly the physical environment of the altitude, Mile High?
Mason Crosby kicked one hell of a field goal, probably thanks a little bit to that thin air. Would you blame Tom Clements taking over the play calling?
Not anymore that I would give it all to Wade Phillips as the stellar defensive coordinator, but with knowing what we're capable of, I would maybe look at Capers and that scheme.
But you gotta give credit to Peyton Manning. Played a hell of a game, much maligned this year. Speaking of maligned, would you look at maybe Eddie Lacy? And is he out of shape?
Two things: big boned, and he lives in Wisconsin now. But is it someone who, out there, Rodgers maybe needing to take it into his own hands and play clutch and make some things happen when it counts the most?
Brett Favre in the playoffs, dude. Some ugly, ugly endings. I don't know if we need that. Is it because Peyton Manning sounds an awful lot like Tom Hanks when he yells?
Yeah, but the Da Vinci Code kind of sucked.
The book was all right.
Did we just get our ass kicked?
We may have just gotten our ass kicked. We may have just gotten our asses kicked. Mike McCarthy certainly thought so. Said as much in his press conference. Boy, oh boy. He was talking about how he didn't have him ready. What the fuck is that, Michael? You never see a flat Packers team under Mike McCarthy coming out of the bye.
And you see a very regimented, we've talked about in the past, Mike's schedule-oriented, very specific, down to the hour, down to the minute, about what goes on in his team and crafting his schedule as it comes then. And he kind of, he got kind of gunslinger himself.
He veered, man.
With the victory and how good we were doing, gave the guys a whole week off. And, it's just, there are no one reasons for a game, but, it's kind of like when you're... It's kind of like us getting used to winter, which we're unseasonably warm right now. But, once you get used to things, and a week is a long time. It's just,
You get acclimated.
Yeah.
Talk to touring bands. They will tell you that a week on the road, the first week is the hardest because at the end of that week, only then are you used to life on the road.
In your element,
finally comfortable, and then they get they built up a
now.
little bit
Like,
of rust, a little bit of
seeing old friends going around, and then week back, as opposed to Peyton was going to be ready for you, and that's another thing. The psychology entering the game, because we were sitting pretty all right. You're like, hey, a 6-0 team. Our defense has played better than we expected. Everything else, and Peyton was just getting racked, rawed, eaten alive,
dude. And we had reinforcements coming. We were getting Morgan Burnett back. We were getting Devontae Adams back. The guys who got injured, who held out of practice that week, James Starks played. Demarius played. we were at close to full strength, if not at full strength, man, for availability, and wow.
So
didn't matter.
One thing we kind of talked about this step back is looking at, was this a case of we played our best and we just got straight up beat, or we underperformed? And I prefer to honestly think, seeing what we've seen, is the latter. I mean, I don't think we saw the full potential and full execution. So it's, how do you, it's just so much, it's just, there's so many layers. It's like an onion, it makes you cry, and, but they taste so good in so many different things. And
that is football. Damn. The reasons they were flying out of everywhere. You had Aaron suggesting the team didn't make adjustments. You had Aaron's brother Luke suggesting that it was the fault of the scheme. You had one thing that I just I thought was incredibly telling was on Mike's press conference from this afternoon, where the reporter asked him if his quarterback needed to widen his definition of what it means for a player to be open. And Mike pled the fifth, man. Next question, just brushed aside. Brings up the fact, I mean, does Aaron need to be more, does he need to try to work the ball into some of those windows? So, Thomas, here we are on an unseasonably warm November evening.
Kind of odd.
Very odd. Winds of change.
We kind of were behind a little bit, setting up out here a little later than usual. Kind of odd.
Unseasonably late. And
kind of odd. We had I had a brush with
greatness.
Something I cannot quite put my finger on yet.
We're hanging out, setting up, kind of taking our time. It's almost as if something directed us to take our time that unseasonably warm November evening. Suddenly,
black. Almost seemed like a rolling tank or big animal, like a
tanker,
like a bear tanker, but not like the Chicago ones.
No, nothing like those. Like a polar bear that fell in the Fox River.
And instead of blood stains, it's marinara stains. And he just rolled right by, almost like
glided.
Like it was his world and we were just living in it. But then he stopped. He didn't have to stop, man.
He didn't have to stop.
He could have gone.
He could have just pulled that fucking tanker right out in the middle of Oneida Street.
He's got the nuts on it. He could have...
Not the literal truck nuts.
No, not the hanging ones like in the engine.
But ladies and gentlemen, the goosebumps have yet to fade. Mike McCarthy.
Minister of Macho.
Right,
he was right there.
Like, you guys.
Yeah.
We got to breathe the air around him.
Totally could have yelled. He totally would have heard us, but we totally didn't. But, man, that was awesome.
It was so cool. It was so cool. Set the tone.
It reminds me of a poem. Footprints in the sand. After a loss like we experienced, you're kind of lost. And you think maybe you're just really alone. And you don't know what to think, what's up, what's down. And you feel like you don't have anybody. And you just ask, why? And then it's Mac who says, you were not alone. It was I who carried you. And it's kind of what brings everything back together. And that's why I have hope for next week.
That was a sign, man. That was a sign of greatness to come. A taste of greatness. More coming in Carolina this weekend. Boy, oh boy, this could have been back-to-back undefeated showdowns.
Yeah.
We did not hold up our end of it. Shoot. Is the blueprint just like on paper now for the Packers to struggle against these defenses?
Is every team like the Broncos though? So, I mean, I don't think teams can't follow it yet because it was the O and the D thing. But I know what you mean. I mean, as far as how to keep Aaron off the field and how to exploit our defense, perhaps. But I don't know if teams can do it like that defense and Peyton. But you have, and again, you're going from perhaps the most immobile quarterback in the league in Peyton Manning to the most mobile quarterback in the league in Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, people don't remember this. They don't talk about it around here. But do you remember Brett Favre was kind of mentoring Cam Newton as he was preparing for the draft? And was he not represented by Bus Cook too? Fucking A, man.
Bus Cook.
Chili.
Calling Eric Chili. But wow, no, I think because I remember at one point we looked up Bus Cook and I think that's right. But
look, man, Cam is. I mean, Brett Favre isn't going to lend his presence to just anybody. I mean, he did play for 1 out of 8 teams in the NFL, but still.
They're Southern guys, you know? Yeah. It's getting busy with bus cooking,
1/8. That's it.
But
Cam has had. I mean, he was a high draft pick, lot of promise. I mean, that organization is really trying to build around him.
And just when people thought all the weapons had depleted, that Steve Smith is gone and Calvin Benjamin is out for the year with injury and everything, he's kind of had his best year, doing a little Owen Daniels and some, Jonathan Stewart, some other things, but it's really Greg Olsen. Former, Bear.
Former Bear.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing, but one thing that we looked at that was a little interesting about this road that they've gotten here as recent undefeated is...
Who the fuck have you played, Carolina? Let's crunch some goddamn numbers, Tommy.
I didn't know. So then we looked it up and looked at things.
We added this up because nobody reported this stat.
And the win-loss total of the teams that Carolina has played is...
22-31.
Are there any ringers in there that maybe skew that average, or is it all kind of 500 and below, Matt?
They have not beaten a team that has a record over 500.
Now, I don't think you can say that that is an indicator of anything in particular, but I think you can say it's an interesting case study about...
They're playing some shitty teams this year, man.
Yes, yeah.
The one kind of jewel in their crown is they won at Seattle.
Who hasn't? No, but seriously, but but they've I mean
there ain't shit. There ain't shit for quality of opponent. So hang your hat on that, Packers fans. We are gonna do our darndest to turn the pessimism arrow back on up.
Well, and I trust the minister of macho is first and foremost upset with himself,
dude, and
he is only going to channel that and reflect that onto those around him.
He took it all on
because that's what part of being macho is. I mean, you're going to
selfless.
Yes. So I think you're going to have kind of a salty bunch around, or at least I hope you have a salty bunch. I mean, again, we're not too far removed from what happened at the end of last year, so it's kind of a...
There is mad salt.
Yeah.
So, you've got a Carolina team that is led by Luke Kuechly at linebacker. They have a fairly good defense, does Carolina. Not Denver's, though.
What are, just an offshoot, what were the terms under which Julius left Carolina? Was it just a straight up good old free agency, hey, get the best deal you can get?
He was due for big money, man.
Yeah.
He was going to make his big contract, and he also put it out there at the time. I don't know. It was weird seeing him now. Maybe it wasn't such a smoke signal, but at the time he was saying that he wanted to switch to a 3-4 defense, and he was in a 4-3 there. Of course, he went to Chicago, who was a 4-3 at the time, so it didn't really add up. But It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Dude who played with a hand in the dirt that whole time wanted to
compared to your Jared Allens or Aaron Campmans, who did not want to make that switch.
Right. Oh yeah, and fucking Jared Allen is now with the Panthers. Oh my God. We get to beat him again, Packers fans. Fuck that guy.
It's like the fruit of the month club, the gift that keeps on giving. Wow. Gosh, the layers.
Dude. Shrek would be proud of all these onion analogies.
Yes.
So, did you watch that Monday night game?
Not in its entirety.
I watched most of it, and then it looked like the Colts were getting their asses kicked. And Andrew Luck, man, just like he did against us a couple years ago, just fought that team back, and just lit it up in the fourth quarter. I missed the whole fucking thing, but man, Carolina let them right back into that game at home. Carolina wound up winning, but man, I dig it. I dig the fact that they got the win on some pointless game, some AFC game, and you know they're rolling in 6-0. They know they barely got through that one. They've got their first quality opponent of the year coming in.
First team above, again to reiterate, first team above 500 that they are playing this season.
They're fucked, man. They're going to be overmatched. Wow. Overmatched, dude. I'm realizing this as we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm picking up on the vibes, man. This is going to be a damn good Packers victory. You can look at a lot of the shit that's happened over the last couple of weeks, and you can look at some flaws in the team. Personally, those injuries did hurt last week. Casey Hayward moving outside was less than ideal, to say the least. Sam Shields should be back for this week, though. Shoulder injury, not serious. Quentin Rollins went out too. Sounds like maybe that wasn't so bad. Clay got hurt in the game, went back in. I mean, we're going to be rolling out largely the same team that we did a week ago. Hey, we made it through a game without a new fucking injury. All right.
So it's like a game of Jenga. We had to take out players and put them on top, which made it the foundation more unstable. And it fell. We lost. But we get to bring it back up, rebuild, and start with a new stack. And it's going to be at a lower altitude.
Super low. So I like this. I like this game, man. Jared Abbrederis got his hands on the ball, didn't he? Didn't he? Nah. Yep. Micah Hyde had to play way too much football. Way too much football. Get that man. Man, that guy played more snaps than the whole Packers offense played. Shoot.
Wait. Is there a dark horse? Is there any semblance of a possible dark horse in any type of screen catching thing from one big first down in Ripkowski? He's getting snaps in the backfield, you know. See, it just again, there's still excitement and wonderful things because there's just a lot of pieces that are coming back from injury, nicked and up, and it just feels like it hasn't coalesced. The Jello's not set yet, and it's there's a lot to do and. You just don't see a twice in a row, even though it's on the road against tough opponents, a loss by Mike McCarthy team. I mean, you can get into hyperbole all you want and everything, but it's just, there's a feeling of a good response because, again, with how much Peyton was getting ragged on and how good we were feeling, that was a feeling going into that game. Now it's opposite. We are mortal, we are vulnerable, we have bled our own blood.
Yep.
And...
You know what I'm worried about, man? This is a fucked up thing that's been happening, but you detailed why the San Diego Chargers offensive line was garbage. Scott McKenna on last week's show, and thanks again, Scott, detailed that the Denver Broncos interior of their offensive line was like a sieve. He used the word sieve, for fuck's sake. And what did those teams do? quick fucking passes over the middle, slants and shit. God damn.
High percentage throws, moving the chains inch by inch, almost as much as you're running the ball. Take those 4 or 5, 6, 7 yards. Just keep eating it away, eating up the clock, keeping the other quarterback off the field.
Yes. Dude, Carolina, same thing. Injuries on their O-line. Is it fucking possible that a shitty O-line has turned into an advantage against the Packers, man? Wow. Cam Newton can run, man. Can seriously run the ball.
Yes.
If that O-line breaks down and loses contain, maybe he takes off and we don't have people there to spy on him.
They see blood in the water against a weak O-line. I can get to him, and breaks out.
Dude. Again, though, those quick play, those quick slant passes. I mean, is it just because there's no one else at inside linebacker other than Clay? I mean, like, do we just...
But that's not even necessarily, that should not fall on the shoulders of said inside linebacker, right? I mean, yes, that's the middle and coverage and everything else, but, I mean, there is...
I don't know, man. I'm not feeling great about what our defense is going to do. I have a lot more faith in how our offense is going to turn it around. And you know what? Maybe a great offense has been just helping a defense and making it look better than it has been. Playing with a lead, playing with a fresh defense because the offense can sustain drives.
Well, speaking of not playing with a lead, there was one positive. There was a positive in the Carolina game. I mean, Tolzien got some reps. I'm just saying, as far as he's a smart guy. It's a fucking glass is half full, okay?
That's what we got. Oh boy. You know what? That is not a game that, if you lose that game, your goose ain't cooked, man. You lose to some AFC opponent who you'll see again in another couple of years, man. I mean, that doesn't mean shit in the grand scheme. It's a measuring stick. We came up short. Vic Ketchman will tell you that this should make them humble.
He's one of those.
And if anyone knows anything about humility,
it is.
It is Vic Ketchman. Yes. So maybe this was the right time of year for this to happen.
And it put to bed something that, was a possibility or was out there, which we will have frankly put, there will be a ceremony. So if there's things we have to wrap up, we will allow some time for a cocktail hour, and then we will come back for a very special ceremony.
For now, would you like to predict the score of this week's game? We are now
in Carolina,
both 6-1, as are the Packers.
And now comes the deal breaker.
This one matters, man. We're talking about seeding now.
And it's not just because it's the record and everything to do about it, and everything that goes beyond and before it. Damn, what do I feel like, or what's going on? Panthers will mount a late comeback, but it will be 27-24. Packers. They gain the lead for a moment, but then we tie it and kick a field goal.
34-23. Because those numbers sound really nice as a Packers fan.
Is that Packers?
Yes.
Okay.
Naturally.
I'm just making sure, because you just said the scores, and it's like a good.
Look, man.
It's a good cinematic device to say it and you twist it.
Which
you just be like 24.
Which team did he mean?
Panthers.
Packers. Brought to you by
Geico. Saving 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. But okay.
I think the Packers win. I think the offense gets clicking, man. This is not the defense that we just faced, and I think I seriously think this is gonna be one that fucks with Carolina a bit. They're looking at this as a chance to prove themselves. Packers are just looking to win a fucking football game.
Yep.
And they're gonna.
Yep.
Says we. We being
Tommy Burns.
Matty Day.
And we are
live
from
Stadium Drive. Gimme. Thank you. If everyone could take their seats, the ceremony will be beginning momentarily. One reminder, there'll be refreshments afterward, coffee and some sweets out in the lobby after Tommy says a few words here. Thomas,
Thank you.
You about ready? All right.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to shepherd the possibility that once was to the darkness of hell. This dead plant, which represents the death of a perfect season, a hope in the hearts of so many children across the world, as well as ourselves. It is times like these one questions the existence of a higher being, but then this is a reminder that Big Mac, too, is mortal, and that this was a test of our beliefs and a test to see how we would respond. Hashtag nanobubbles. So it was with a bittersweet flame that we burned this symbol of possibilities to open the door to new ones. Maddie, please pass the candle.
Thank you. In Shula's name,
we pray.